This is Rick Harsh, Chief Editor of Corona Samizdat and author, and this is my book review, Book 2. Today I'm going to review two books by my, pardon me for saying it, escapist fiction writer, Craig McDonald. Now, I think I've tried to get across in the past that when I read something that is considered escapist, I don't want to feel like it's just, in fact, I can't stand it if it's fluff. Earlier this week, I finished novel Explosives, and that was just intense. That book just, it took me a few days to get that enough out of my system to read something else. I tried to read another book, but it was a literary book and of a different stripe, and I just couldn't do it. So luckily, finally, in the mail came these two books that had been held hostage by customs in Slovenia for a long time. One of the weird things, that you have to really suspend your disbelief when you read a lot of escapist fiction. Now, however, nothing in these books is stranger than the journey the books went on to get here. The problem is I'd have to hire a private detective to find out all the details. And they probably wouldn't, there'd be no femme fatale, there'd be no Peter Lorre character, no Sydney Greenstreet. It would just be a bunch of fucking EU suits and skirts and whatever, they wear in the decision-making part of the EU. And in Slovenia, it's becoming just a nightmare to receive mail that comes from outside the European Union in Slovenia. They stop it at customs, and no matter how much you paid to get it, they're going to charge you even more. It's bizarre, it's strange, well, that's redundant, isn't it? It's bizarre, strange, and odd. So, then you go to one of these books and you think, well, I don't know, like this plot, the plot of The Great Pretender is not my kind of plot. It involves Nazis and a secret lance that was used to poke Christ, supposedly. And there's this disc with a map on it, and it's like a, you right away you're thinking Harrison Ford movie or whatever, and so and it went kind of quick, and I really didn't like it because I don't like that kind of plot. But then the problem is that McDonald doesn't he would not make shit like that up. So that something like what he's describing, secret, dark Nazi societies, they always exist, secret, dark Nazi societies. But, there were a variety of them. But where the story is really interesting to me is he's talking about Orson Welles. Orson Welles is the main secondary character in this book. And you get the War of the Worlds broadcast. You get the problems that Wells had with Hollywood and his persona. And you also get the Third Man, as the book ends in Vienna. So I'm going to say, this is not my favorite of Craig McDonald's novels, but, I don't think I can honestly say there was anything wrong with it. Luckily, so, you're not going to like all of anybody's books to the same degree, But luckily, the next one, I kind of had the feeling, this one's called Roll the Credits. I had the feeling that this one, which is 400 pages, said this is gonna be better for me, and it really was. The plotting was sensational, but also there was, I guess, there was more time with different characters or something like that I made me like it more. But also, you know, it was this is the main plot is fairly simple. You think Hector Lassiter, the semi-detective guy, who's the star of the series, who looks a little like William Holden. It must be him up there, yeah. And he has to take this Jewish girl from Lyon across France and out. She was in hiding, and he was in the resistance. And you know, the thing is, when you know with this guy that, okay, there's a reason it's going to be in Lyon. And Klaus Barbie, who shows up in my assassination of Olof Palme, and it's a dark scene there, because it's a bit of the satirical, but you know, the Menippean, where the Menippean is no longer on safe ground, because real life has become so satirical. You got Klaus Barbie, who was actually, you know, hired by the United States, worked for the United States for about 6 years before the United States hustled him over to South America on their rat line. True story. So you get Klaus Barbie, but his main character is a filmmaker, maybe based on someone, maybe not, but it made for some really compelling reading, and it also took you into wartime Europe, and then you think that that's going to be most of the book, and then it just kept going on. I think there were 4 main sections, and each one was a surprise, and the writing was strong, the writing was good, and there was nothing simple about it, I guess, is maybe what pleases me the most. But also you pick up some historical tidbits, and you know, I'm done with, I mean, he writes about Hemingway a lot, and I haven't read the novel. I think he's got a novel that's about his breakup with Hemingway, the Lassiter's breakup with Hemingway. Maybe, maybe not, but I haven't been able to get that one yet. I think it's Forever's Just no, One True Sentence. That's it. And you know, but I've had enough of Hemingway, and I wish he'd quit showing up in the books. But when he does, it's believable, and you learn something. So Gertrude Stein was in here. Alice B. Toklas was in here. Liberating France was in here. Very good stuff. Some of the best wartime writing that you'll read is in a good, well-researched novel, and this is one of those. So you know, in the he calls it, the author Craig McDonald says that the best thing, most accurate appellation for him is he's a writer of historical thrillers. Well, he's too enwrapped in noir for that to be complete. But I think what he wants to point out is that he does his research, And so what do you call these books if it's not a private eye book? And, you know, what is it? Well, okay, thriller is the word that you're left with. But it's more, he does more than write historical thrillers. He just writes, I think he's in the, closer to the detective genre, but in style. And, but too much of the content wanders throughout the world, and so you can't really call it simply crime fiction, but it is noirish. It's its own mixture of genres or whatever. And really, when he's great, he's really great. This was a great book. This is, you know, this one, you know, I would give it a what do we do? 5 stars? Okay, I'd give it like 4 stars because, you know, it wasn't my favorite, and but I didn't feel like I was wasting my time, which is the absolute, you know, the absolute necessary way of judging a book that is called escapist, you know. But, you know, his books always teach, and that's really important to me. Do you want to learn about Orson Welles? Well, I enjoyed it. But I think I needed a bigger, fatter book to finally get Jim Gower's book enough out of my mind that now I can free myself to read some nonfiction and do some writing. Because Novel Explosives really was a very effective book. But this was great. If you read crime fiction and anything like that, you're not going to do better than Craig McDonald. And, you know, some of you would read this and love it. Unfortunately, the plot, which is based for sure on some true things, was just not my kind of plot, even if it's true. So, yeah, I can't be too hard on it because I know that it was just, you know, there's something personal about that kind of plot. This one, it didn't really matter what the plot was. I was back to needing a good fat McDonald, and that's exactly what I got. So, thank you, Craig McDonald, and I'm glad the book's finally arrived, and I'm glad I decided not to bore you with the details, because, you know, until I know what's really going on, it's not going to be interesting.